Hey there. Welcome to my personal favorite Fire Emblem game, FE8, The Sacred Snows. I'm here planning for a longer term project I'm working on. A full recruitment playthrough of Eirika's route where I try to play as reliably as possible and get as many side objectives as I can, but still go fast enough to not have any dead turns. To double down on the reliability aspect, I'm also using the Pessimistic Growths patch, which sets all my units to their 10th percentile stats for their current class and level. Basically, this means 90% of the time, each of my units would have equal or better values in any given one of their stats. That lets you come up with strategies that would work with basically any bad level up RNG someone could get. That brings me to what I wanted to talk about today, Tana. She's the second flyer you get in FE8, and she's a pretty good unit. She has solid bases for a join level, good growths overall, and access to the best class in the game, Wyvern Knight. That said, she has some pretty big disadvantages compared to Vanessa, your first flyer. The most obvious one is that she comes several chapters later and starts 6 levels away from promotion. Vanessa's only real downside is that training her before the route split can be annoying, especially with the restrictions that this rule set places on growths and consistency. A lot of enemies before the route split are axe users who make her hit rates shaky, and with 17 base HP she's pretty frail, so it takes a lot of coordinated support to feed her XP. Vanessa's reward for finishing her training arc is great. She gets to be a fantastic flying carry and the prime candidate for the Boots, Vidofnir, Fini Shield build later in the game. Here's the thing though, Tana can do that too, and she can be trained more easily and, importantly for this run, more safely than Vanessa can, even if she comes a lot later. If we compare Tana at base to Vanessa's quote-unquote reliable stats at level 11, that is, the 10th percentile stats I mentioned earlier, we see that the two are comparable in basically every area. Tana comes with guaranteed decent bases, while Vanessa has to rely on RNG for her stats. She's also got consistently better durability, power, and crit avoid in the long term thanks to her higher growths in those areas. There's still the fact that she starts with a very low base level of 4, but fortunately, on Eirika's route, she joins on the perfect map to make up for that. A route map with a ton of enemies that use swords and lances. I'm not here to argue that Tana is a better unit than Vanessa in general. Just that in a context that values reliability slightly over turn count, she's valuable because she can get online with less RNG involved than her competition. Doing that comes with a nice bonus of freeing up more early game XP for units like Franz, Ardor, Joshua, or Ross, and letting Vanessa focus more on side objectives and rescue dropping. So, here's a way to reliably get Tana 4 levels in her join chapter at a brisk pace with almost no chance of death on anyone. Before we start, I'll scroll through the units I'm bringing. I gave Tana the energy ring from chapter 7 and the dragon shield from chapter 5 because I think it's reasonable to expect that Vanessa would have gotten those stat boosters if you were training her for combat instead. Eirika also got the chapter 8 angelic robe, which will be critical for this clear and useful later in the run. Seth got the chapter 5 secret book to minimize his miss chances since he'll be doing the most combat for a lot of the game. I used chapter 5X to train Forde, who I made a great knight because he appreciates the promotion bonuses more than the other cavaliers do. Axe access also synergizes with his stat line. Their high might offsets his low strength, and his high skill offsets their low hit. I have Ardor as my mage, but Luke can replicate everything he does here just with marginally worse hit rates. Up until now, the run has been mostly on LTC pace, except for chapter 8, where I slowed down a little to grab the Elysian Whip without needing any dodges on Eirika or Franz. Alright, enough chit chat. We have some mercenaries to beat up and a flyer to train. Tana starts us off by getting her first kill on this soldier. It's possible for him to survive, but only if he gets max rolls on his HP and defense at the same time, which is rare. In general, this clear is pretty resilient against enemy stat variation though. Natasha gets in a staff rep, and Joshua comes to build some support since he has a free turn. Everyone else spreads out to either fight on this enemy phase or visit the eastern village. Garcia doesn't have anything to do right now, so he just hangs out. He and Franz are mostly just along as reliability buffers that we'll only really use if we need them. fighting this pirate is the only thing Loot does arguably better than Ardor here. They both have high chances to land enough attacks to kill him, but Ardor faces 1% crit, and Loot faces none. Tana can take this Merc out with her Slim Lance here. Depending on his stat rolls, she may have needed the Iron or the Steel though. Forde's hit rate looks shaky here, but if he misses, Franz has a chance to hit this guy next turn since he'll have some downtime then. Franz finishes off the soldier Eirika fought on enemy phase. If he were trained and had normal growths, his displayed hit would be well into the 90s here. Joshua's going to weaken this archer for Eirika. If Tana needed her Iron Lance for this upcoming enemy phase because of stat rolls, he would have her equip it now. The two mercenaries and the sniper over here have two different attack patterns they can do. Either the mercs attack from the space to Tana's south, or the space to her west. If they attack from the south, the sniper will attack forward from the southwest, which is what we want. If they attack from the west, the sniper will attack forward from due west, which we don't want because that messes with their positioning for the next 2 turns. Fortunately, which decision they make is totally deterministic, and it's controlled by Ardor's position at the end of this phase. If he moves north at all from his current position, the mercs will attack from the west. If he stays put, they attack from the south. So he just has to chill out for now. Mulder could have mended, and Ardor could have waited if they had to. And that's why we wanted the sniper to attack forward from the southwest. He's put himself in a perfect position to get pinned against the wall and fed to our fledgling flyer. Ardor starts this turn by taking out the last mercenary on the bridge. If Forde had missed earlier, Franz could chip him into range now. Joshua, Forde, and Tana surround the sniper so we can engage the reinforcements separately from him. Seth starts working on the pirates threatening the western village, and Vanessa picks up the rapier. She cantos back to the left to pick Seth up in a little bit. Seth faces pretty high crit against this Myrmidon, but even if he gets crit twice and hit by one of the pirate's counterattacks, he still survives. That's the reason I picked Seth for pirate duty instead of Forde. Seth's higher defense and luck give him basically 0 chance of death here compared to Forde's 10-ish%. The right order of attacks on this mercenary depends on his stat rolls and how his fight with Forde on enemy phase went. Franz heals himself to get ready for some minor combat he'll do in a couple turns. Eirika can die here, but only if the soldier and the merc both roll max on their strength, then both hit their attacks, which is a little less than a 7.5% chance. If she gains even a single point of defense up to now, which mine hasn't, that chance of death disappears entirely. Eirika can finish the soldier off with the slim sword instead of a rapier to get better hit rates. Speaking of gaining defense, good timing. Arter feeds yet another merc to Tana. If this fighter rolls high enough HP and Joshua doesn't crit, he can survive the attack here. In that case, Garcia would just finish him off after with the hatchet. Natasha would heal Eirika if she hadn't dodged earlier. In the forest, she's guaranteed to survive the fighter's attack. Seth rearranges his inventory and gets ready to be airlifted to the boss area. If his encounters on the beach had gone poorly, he can use an elixir here to patch himself up. I don't technically have to in this case, but I'll do it for consistency's sake. Joshua and Eirika combine to kill the last reinforcement fighter. Joshua's ready to promote now, but he won't get to for a while. Sorry, buddy. Garrick has dibs on that first hero's crest. Arter repeats what he did with the last mercenary for Tana's benefit. Forde equips his Iron Axe and heals in range of 2, but not all 3 soldiers that showed up with Amelia. We want the last guy alive for now. After she drops Seth off, Vanessa cantos 2 spaces to the left, but not all 3. If she moved 3, she'd be closer to the action on the coast, but both archers on the southern bridge would go left instead of one of them going right, and that would cost us a turn. Franz barely survives this merc guaranteed with his 10th percentile stats. Seth dodges a little more than expected on this enemy phase, but his actual chance of death against the boss's squad is very low here. This is the most unreliable attack in the clear. If this archer rolls max HP and max defense, he survives Forde's attack, but in that case, Franz could pick up the slack after. Forde still has to hit though. Seth switches to a fresh javelin and downs his elixir. Standing in the forest here all but guarantees his safety this turn. At least one of these three mercenaries needs to roll down on speed for Seth's path to the boss to be clear next turn. That's got a 7 in 8 chance of being the case, which admittedly is not great. We're going to have a lot of fun with this Axe Reaver here in about 2 minutes. Before we do anything else, Franz picks up the speedway. If he gets really unlucky, Seth can elixir here, but ours doesn't have to, so he can just kill the archer instead. Natasha doesn't have anyone to heal, but that's okay. She can just hang out with Joshua. Vanessa would usually go to the left here to be a reliability buffer for our main squad on the final turn, but because Seth missed an attack on one of the fighters, she has to position to clean up after him instead. Maybe I should have deployed an Amy or something. Garcia hasn't gotten to do anything on this map. Seth's javelin tosses on the last enemy phase don't matter at all. 4 hits from the Axe Reaver kills Binks guaranteed by the end of this turn. Vanessa's hit rates look suspect here, but remember, she only had to do this because Seth missed an attack at around 84 true hit. Tana's going to take out this last axe bro. We just have to figure out the best way to do it. Seth tests out his shiny new toy against Binks' chest. I don't mind potentially using a third of its durability here, because it's really not going to be that useful of a boss killing weapon outside of Kellic going forward. And there we go. Tana gained 4 levels in her join map, 3 turns behind LTC pace, with very little chance of death on anyone, and a bit of an XP buffer to boot. She also got halfway through D Lances, so with some diligent training in chapters 12 and 13, she's on pace to wield Vidofnir as soon as we get it. Expected turn count can be a little weird to calculate in GBA games, but fortunately I'm good at math, so trust me when I say it's a little over 9.3 for this clear, and we have a cumulative chance of death across all our units of less than 10%. Looking back, there are definitely some ways I could have improved this clear and still accomplished the goal, but it's a lot better than when I first decided to train Tana on this map, so I'm pretty happy with it. If you watched this far, thanks for sticking around. If you enjoyed the clear, drop a like to help me out, and maybe check out one of my other videos too. Hopefully I'll see you in my next upload, and until then, have yourself an awesome day, unlike this axe bro here.